What up, everyone? I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. Yeah! And I hope you're ready, because I am ready to do a little review here. And let's just adjust this so you see what I'm talking about. Now, as you're probably guessing by the shield logo, I am going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I did a show earlier, back when the previews first came out, of my thoughts on Ghostbusters, what would happen, what might happen. So, a lot of my stuff that I did on that show was speculation based on the trailer. Now, I get to talk about how right I was. Ghostbusters Afterlife. First thoughts. It was the movie they should have made years ago. I've said my piece on the Ghostbusters girl movie, Answer the Call. Horrible movie. Just in all ways. Storyline, terrible. Waste of a Bill Murray cameo along with everything else. Tarnished the name of Ghostbusters. Yeah. And like I said in that one, I was actually looking forward to that movie because I thought it'd be an interesting change, but very disappointing. But this movie did not disappoint in the slightest. Now, for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm going to drop massive spoilers because I really want to talk about this movie, the direction it's heading, and the 3 endings that it came with. Because there are 3 endings. You have to watch it all the way to the end to get all 3 endings. That is just freaking cool. Now, Ghostbusters Afterlife. It mainly circles around the life of Egon Spengler. Egon Spengler was like the brains of the Ghostbusters. And they were the Ghostbusters for a few years. And then one day, just out of the blue, Egon took off. He took all the equipment. And he cleaned out the Ghostbusters and just left. He left his family. He left everything to go to this crappy town in Oklahoma that was created by Ivo Shandor. They just keep saying evil in the first one, but this guy was the guy that created the building in part 1. This is where they got the metal for their building, so it kind of connects into that. So it starts off with the Spengler family, and this is Egon's daughter, who never knew Egon, and of course the 2 grandchildren. They find out that Egon had died. In the beginning of the movie, you find out how he died. He went out like a G, trying not to spoil everything. And they end up moving to this house. In this house, in this town, he's actually known as the dirt farmer, because all he had was dirt. He never farmed anything. He was actually standing watch, because this is the main portal where Gozer appeared. And every few years or so, Gozer tries to rise up to destroy, to kill, to take over. And Egon was standing watch over this pit in the mine. It's like this giant pit that they turned into a temple inside of a mountain. So what happens is he passes away and his spirit is still haunting the house. And when one of the grandchildren come, the granddaughter, oh my god, she's like a little Egon. And the whole thing just turns into a mystery on who he was and what their legacy is. The film is about legacy. It's a love letter to the original movie in so many different ways. Now, the female, she's like a little Egon. She is like Egon, but she has her own personality. She ends up meeting a kid named Podcast, and he becomes like the conspiracy theorist. He runs a podcast show where he talks about mysteries. He tells her about the mines and everything, and then you have the oldest, the boy. This kid is the kid from Stranger Things. He does a great job playing that awkward teenager that loves cars, and he's the one that ends up fixing Ecto 1 and meeting this girl named Lucky. And Lucky's like the police chief's daughter. She's a little older. She kind of messes with him a lot. And they kind of form the core of this new Ghostbusters team. And man, it is a great adventure. I mean, it's nice that it's set somewhere else besides New York too. It's kind of good, you know what I mean? That it was a change of environment and a change of pace. Oh man, the effects are just awesome. They used a mix of puppetry and they used a mix of practical effects, just like they did in the original movie. They tried to keep it original as possible with using CGI when they needed to. And yes, I'm gonna just say this now: the old men do come back, and it is absolutely epic. That's all I gotta say about that. I mean, it was just wonderful to see them together. Oh, you also get to see Sigourney Weaver, which is just awesome. They close up a lot of like story holes that people always thought, like what would happen with Peter and Diane? What happened with Ray? What happened with Winston? So you get a little bit of all that, and you can definitely feel Harold Ramis' presence in the movie, looming large, as the way it should be. Now, why do people love the Ghostbusters so much? Well, because they're not muscle-bound dudes that just shoot everything in sight. They're average guys. They're average guys that started a business and just, through who they were, they managed to succeed. Anybody could be a Ghostbuster. That's the appeal of it. Anybody can answer the call. Oh man, there's so many good things about this movie. It's so hard not to spoil it. I'm trying so hard not to. The ghosts are awesome. That's one thing. You get to see a miniature Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The original crew of the ghosts are back, like Gozer, the dogs, the gatekeeper, the key master, all that stuff. It kind of happens again, but in a very different way. Very fascinating. I love what they did with Ecto 1. Ecto 1 is just badass. I mean, it looks like a rust bucket, but damn, it still has some tricks in it. Sheesh. Man, it's worth watching. They left it open for a sequel, which I'm really hoping happens. Now, if there is a sequel, I do not think that Bill Murray will be coming back for a sequel. He came for this one. He came for Harold, and I think that's enough for the Venkman character. They did kind of a good job in giving him a real good life, where he might not necessarily want to come back anymore. Like him and Dana went off and had their own life. They raised Oscar, and I think they actually have a happy marriage. So, but I would love this to continue on. I love the characters. I would personally love to see another sequel to this movie. This Ghostbusters Afterlife was everything that it was supposed to be. I mean, from the minute that you step into this movie, that you embrace the reality of it, you're in a Ghostbusters movie. You have that feeling that you got when you were a kid, but it's in a different town. But you have the vibe, and that's the important thing. The other movie lacked the vibe. And this movie just captures it so well. I mean, Janine Melmans is in it. Everybody has their time to shine from the original crew. Everybody. And of course, and one of the endings, one of the Ghostbusters starts to bring everything back together. He starts to bring things back to New York. So, like I said, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm actually looking forward to this. Paul Rudd did a great job in this movie too. Good old Ant-Man delivered. And like I said, I really looking forward to seeing what happens next. The Kids is a good cast for the Ghostbusters. Is a good cast to carry the torch. This movie was wonderful at passing the torch. The guys didn't get a lot of screen time, but their screen time was worth it. They're mainly focusing on the next generation, which is what they should do. And this is exactly the movie that should have came out all these years ago. This is Ghostbusters. And like I said, it's worth watching. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but this movie is all heart. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, if you love the franchise, you've always loved the franchise, you'll love this movie. It might even tear you up a little bit, especially at the end. when the boys reunite, it's heartwarming and heartbreaking all at the same time. So, just so you guys know, this movie has everything. It has everything that a Ghostbusters movie should have and more. They delivered on it. I have to give it 2 thumbs up. Oh man. So rent Ghostbusters Afterlife. And as always, I'm the Comic Outlaw. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah, yeah.